This is the Gangjin General Sports Complex. When planning a cycling trip in Korea, do you only think of the route from Seoul to Busan? In this video, we'll introduce Korea's hidden cycling gems, nearly perfect paved roads free from traffic stress, vast ecological parks, and picturesque green tea fields. Let's set off now for an 80-kilometer perfect tour in Gangjin, South Jeolla Province. Oh, and as for why we were laughing in the video, we wanted to get an overhead shot, so we extended the selfie stick high and attached it to the handlebars. But when you look at it from the side, it looks really weird. So my friend next to me saw it and laughed. The overall atmosphere of the course was quiet and peaceful, and the scenery was absolutely beautiful. As I mentioned in the opening, today's route covers 80 kilometers with an elevation gain of 720 meters, taking you through Gangjin Bay Ecological Park, Tea Plantation, Jang-heung Lake, and the Tamjin River. While there are some climbs, aside from one 1.5 kilometer stretch, they're mostly gentle inclines. It's a course that offers plenty of sights along the way, especially considering its difficulty level. As I mentioned at the beginning, there are 4 main riding spots along the route. Although the total distance is 80 kilometers, the ride took a bit longer than expected because we stopped to take photos and hang out along the way. In particular, there are many scenes that you can only see in Korea, so I highly recommend visiting if you haven't been there yet. It offers a different kind of experience compared to the views from steep climbs or the refreshing feel of the ocean. Plus, there were almost no cars, so I had virtually no traffic stress. As you'll see if you watch the video all the way through, there aren't many cars even on the main roads. The place featured in the video is Gangjin Bay Ecological Park. As far as I recall, the Gangjin Bay Ecological Park stretches for about 7 to 8 kilometers. We didn't go very fast there. Instead, we had a great time riding while chatting with our group, taking in the scenery and snapping photos and videos. It made me want to set aside some time to come back here for a walk. Let's take a moment to enjoy the view. Once you leave the ecological park, you'll be riding on a rural road. The road surface here is in excellent condition. If you want to pick up the pace, feel free to do so, but we took it easy since we were busy taking photos and videos and stopping for a quick break along the way. The next stop is a place called Seoul Rock Tea Garden in Gangjin, which is about 30 kilometers from the starting point of the course. Since I was riding with a close friend today, we took our time filming and taking photos along the way, so it took us about 2.5 hours to arrive. Normally, since it's only about 30 kilometers, you should be able to get there in an hour and a half at most. As you can see in the video so far, there aren't any cars in sight, right? Usually, even on a tour, it's hard to avoid traffic, but it felt like we enjoyed a stress-free ride for the first time in a while. Everyone has different preferences, but for me, when I'm on a tour, having few cars around is just as important as the scenery. It's one of the key factors. The picturesque scenery of the green tea fields welcomed us. Now we've arrived at the entrance to Seoul Rock Tea Garden, the green tea fields. Since there's a temple here and it's a tourist spot, there are a few buses and cars around. There's a cafe here, but we decided to take a loop around the tea fields first before having tea, so we headed a little further up toward the fields. If you go just a little further up, you can see the spectacular view of the tea fields stretching out above and below. Right now, most of the tea fields are covered with black plastic sheeting. I heard that the black plastic is used to intentionally block photosynthesis shortly before harvest to improve the quality of the tea leaves. We weren't lucky enough to see it, but if you time your visit right, you should be able to see the tea fields in their full, vibrant green glory. Since it's not far from Gangjin Ecological Park, if you enjoy peaceful walks, it wouldn't be a bad idea to visit both places, even if you don't have a bike. After checking out the green tea fields, we came to the cafe we passed on the way in. It's still cool in the shade, so we sat outside. The matcha shaved ice here is really worth trying. I usually don't care for the slightly fishy, bitter taste of matcha or green tea, but here, neither the green tea drinks nor the matcha shaved ice have that flavor, so I actually enjoyed it. After leaving here and following the road, I had to ride on the national highway for a bit. Cars tend to drive pretty fast here, so I rode carefully. Still, the good news is that it's mostly downhill, so as long as you watch out for cars, it's actually pretty fun to ride. This is finally the uphill section. It's about 1.5 kilometers long, and the gradient isn't that steep. I think the gradient was around 5%, and while it was a bit hot, as you can see in the video, it's over in no time. Once the uphill is over, there's a downhill section, and this one is really fun. It's almost a straight stretch with a moderate slope, and although it doesn't show in the video, there's a small stream flowing on the left, so you can really enjoy a refreshing downhill ride. Once you reach the bottom of the downhill, you'll pass 7 bridges, a bit too small to be called grand bridges, that span a large lake. It just so happened that Busan hosted a cycling event called 7 Bridges last year, so that suddenly came to mind, and I decided to call this the mini 7 Bridges. Crossing the bridges was so peaceful and serene that I took a moment to savor the happy feeling. After crossing all 7 bridges, you'll come to a quiet road that runs alongside the Tamjin River. Once you pass a section of bike path that's in slightly poor condition, a view I hadn't anticipated appeared. It was a spot I hadn't expected even while planning the route, and it's truly one of the most beautiful places I've ridden through. The road is narrow for cars but wide enough for bikes. On one side, an ecological park stretches out, while on the other, rows of unnamed plants line the road. Later on, you'll see beautiful flowers blooming along the path. I think roads like this are unique to Korea. As you can see in the video, flowers are planted along the road. I'm not really into flowers, so I don't know much about them, but this spot is very peaceful and perfect for a relaxing ride. Female riders who love flowers will especially love it here. Throughout the ride, I kept thinking, how is it possible there are no cars? Don't you agree that except for a few sections, there are almost no cars in the video? I like taking photos too, but since we'd already spent too much time riding, we decided to move on, even though it was a bit of a shame. This is Jang-heung. As it turns out, this area is famous for Korean hanwoo beef. There were several butcher shops selling hanwoo clustered together, so it seems to be a place famous for hanwoo, much like Hwangcheong in Gangwon province. Since we were in the middle of our ride, we had a light meal of bibimbap, raw beef bibimbap, and we both really enjoyed it. Since grilling meat in the middle of a ride can be a hassle, I recommend having raw beef bibimbap like we did. There are several restaurants in the area, but the one we ate at was called Milbat Hyanggi. Please keep that in mind. In particular, Jang-heung hosts the Jeollanam-do Jang-heung Water Festival from late July to early August, so if you time your visit right, you can enjoy the festival as well. If you happen to pass by the festival grounds, you might be able to enjoy the festivities. After eating our fill, we rode about 15 kilometers along the Tamjin River bike path, which marked the end of today's cycling route. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the course is mostly flat and only about 80 kilometers long, so even with plenty of time for coffee, meals and photos, we finished around 3 p.m. The actual riding time was a little over 3 hours, and we spent about 3 hours eating and enjoying ourselves. Of course, this varies depending on your preferences, but unless you're just rushing through the course, I think it takes about 5 to 6 hours. It was such a beautiful route that there were almost no boring sections along the entire 80 kilometers. If you ever come to Korea to go cycling, while a challenging ride from Seoul to Busan is great, I highly recommend trying this tour route as well.